Get some answers with a gentleman and from a gentleman who certainly knows the franchise incredibly well. He made a Pro Bowl back in the day, played the Super Bowl, part of the Panthers Hall of Fame as well. And that is Jake Delhomme, part of the radio team too. So Jake, first of all, welcome to the show. Looking forward to talking shop a little bit. How you been, bud? You okay?
I'm doing great. I think I'm so excited for football season. We're on the doorstep. It's almost here. I can't wait.
I love it. It's almost go time. We all feel the same sentiments as well. Let's start with Sam, and we'll branch out. Matt Rhule, some of the weapons, what you guys have done in the draft, the expectations. But when Sam arrived in Carolina, this happens with a lot of young quarterbacks who get beaten up, bad O-line, poor coaching, a lot of losing, etc. Did you get a sense that Sam needed to be rehabilitated mentally and mechanically? Like when he came into the building early, where was he? What did you see early from Sam Darnold, and what do you see now?
Well, listen, I'll be very honest with you. You guys are up in New York. You in that area. I think that was a toxic situation where he was at. And I just think with the Jets, I think with the relationship that Adam Gase had with the media, it wasn't good. And it just seemed like nothing really good ever happened, and it might have been a little too much. And I'm not so sure the talent around him was sufficient enough to be able to have sustained success. So getting a fresh start, first and foremost, was going to be crucial. Still extremely young. And getting around, you want to talk about an alpha head coach in Matt Rhule.
Yep.
When he's in charge, when he talks to the media, he's going to address them. You guys saw it with Adam.
That's awful.
And Adam's he's a good football coach. He understands
no, he's not.
He understands offensive football. It's just, as a head coach, it just didn't work.
Yeah.
It just didn't work. And Matt Rhule, I just think you see the total opposite. There's one voice coming out that building. There's one voice resonating from that building. It's Matt Rhule.
Uh-huh.
And they have put all their cards behind Sam, and I think there's a much better football team in Carolina. I don't think they're there yet. I think they're getting there, but there's many pieces around them for him to have some success going into this year.
Listen, it doesn't make sense to keep rehashing the past. I just needed to do that as a bridge to get to the present, but your read from a distance is absolutely correct. What we saw 5 miles from the stadium is what you saw, 900 miles from whatever it is down in Carolina, whatever it is from Jersey to down to Carolina. But I am curious, when you look at Sam's toolbox, just what is in the toolbox? Are you convinced that they traded for a legitimate franchise quarterback?
I hope so. I don't know any other way to say it. I'm not going to sugarcoat and say 100% I believe that. I hope so. This is the 3rd overall pick. He's a talented guy. He has his arms plenty strong enough. He certainly can move well enough. We saw it last year on a run. He's athletic enough. The turnover gene has bit him, and it bit him some in college. So that has to be corrected, and it has to be corrected by not trying to do too much. And I'll go back to saying this. There's enough weapons in Carolina that if he just lets Joe Brady's offense work for him, and he works the offense, and I think he's got to start fast, in my opinion. I think this team needs to start fast and him having some success. This is not a media market anything like New York, being in Charlotte. And they truly embraced their quarterbacks in Charlotte. Yep. I was very lucky. I was embraced there. Cam Newton was beloved there in Charlotte. They embraced their quarterbacks. And if this schedule can set out correctly for him and have success early on, it can snowball into some positive things. You start out with the Jets. Shockingly, the NFL did that. Then you have the New Orleans Saints in week 2, which we don't know what the Saints are going to be. Yes, it's a good roster, but we're still not sure quarterback-wise. They're having some injury issues with Michael Thomas and things of that nature. And then the 3rd week's a short week, and you travel to Houston, who a team who not many people, including myself, think's going to be that talented of a football team. So it can start good, and if something starts 3-0, Tiki can tell you confidence starts to rise.
Yep.
He has a little more swagger. Everybody believes in him a little bit more, and you never know where that can take off.
Even if it's 2-1, point taken. We're talking to Jake Delhomme, former Panthers quarterback. He's in the Hall of Fame there for Carolina, Pro Bowl as well. He's part of the radio crew, Tiki and Tierney.
Hey, Jake, I want to get to the defense here in a second. They drafted all defense last season, and the first pick this year, J.C. Horn, was defense. But I'd be remiss if I didn't ask about Christian McCaffrey, who was, he's amazing. 2 seasons ago, last year he only played in 3 games, but still had 5 touchdowns. He's a production machine. Where is he health-wise? And, as an offense, it's going to be, I think, largely centered around him again. Where's the offense right now?
Well, I think the biggest question on the offense is the offensive line. I don't have any questions at receiver. I truly I love the receiving core there. I think there's plenty enough talent at the receiver. DJ Moore, I think, the true number 1. Robbie Anderson, I think he's a very good number 2, especially with his speed element. And Terrace Marshall, the second-round pick out of LSU, who has shown tremendous flashes in training camp. Big size, big catch radius. Tight end-wise, need some more production there. Dan Arnold signed over from Arizona. He's that pass-catching tight end. But then you have Christian. Unfortunate, he had the ankle injury last year, came back, then he had a little shoulder deal, and then I believe it was more of a quad type of issue in training to get back to play at the end because he trains so hard and takes such good care of himself. I do understand the volume of carries that he has. There is some question marks there, but I don't see any tread falling off those tires. I think they're still full of tread. So I expect a humongous year out of him. The question, like I'm going to keep on saying, how do we get a offensive line that can be there week in and week out?
Yeah.
We've had trouble at the left tackle position. Cam Irvin, hopefully he can hold it down. Scott Fitterer said something yesterday in an interview about you never know what happens with a trade. So, for him to even say something like that in regards to an offensive line, maybe they're looking to see what would shake out, and we just need some stability. I like the right side of the line. Taylor Moton signed a big deal. I think that's good. But, man, we need to solidify that left tackle position.
Yeah, by the way, Scott Fitterer is the general manager of the Panthers that Jake was alluding to. Chuba Hubbard, they also steal, I think, in the 4th round. So offensively, they should be all right. All right, Matt Rhule. We loved him in college. I think he came in, he's got the right attitude, but clearly his focus is going to be on the defensive side of the ball, given all of the defensive draft picks from a couple of years ago. Derek Brown, as you all remember, was the number 1 pick as well. The focus should be on that side of the ball because, as you know, winning football in large part in Carolina has been defensive-minded. The defense feels like it's going in the right direction. Are we reading it correctly?
I think you are, and you're correct. John Fox, and you were around Coach Fox.
Yep.
He wanted to play defense, and then a little bit of offense at some point. That's just – I'm taking a shot at John, but he knows I'm doing that because I love him. He loves
hey, he got you to a Super Bowl, right?
There's no doubt. But I will say this, 2 names that I'm going to tell you, Brian Burns and Jeremy Chin.
We had Burns on the show, Florida State. We like him.
They are going to be household names. Even if they're not just yet, just wait. They will be household names. 1 in year 3, this one with Burns, and Chin in year 2. The question I have, I think, is more maybe a linebacker position for us. We do have Shaq Thompson, but we need somebody else there. I think we can get after the passer. Derek Brown will be better this year. Having no training camp last year for a D lineman, you got to get used to getting these NFL double teams and these line. It's different. And I thought he came on toward the latter part of the season. So I think you'll see a difference out of him. I love some of the free agents. Morgan Fox they brought in, Hassan Reddick. Guys that are high-energy, high-effort guys. Denzel Perryman is one that I love the signing. He's been kind of hurt all camp and hasn't done much. That's the guy that I wish we could see a little bit more of. But I do love Chin leading the secondary. Dante Jackson, contract year, tough player. I expect a big year. And J.C. Horn, 8th overall pick. He looks the part. I don't know if you've ever seen him in person, but he is one of these big cornerbacks that are long, and he loves to compete and get after it, and he is a gym rat.
Yeah.
I was a teammate with his father, Joe Horn, in New Orleans, and Joe was extremely talented. For this kid, it sounds like it's all ball all the time.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I wonder how long before, how like dad always can beat up the son. I don't think that lasted long in the Horn household because this kid is big.
I don't believe.
JC bring an old school flip phone to camp? Like
That's
Pops?
a good question. That was brought up many times.
I'm sure.
Right after he was drafted. But that was Joe Horn. I tell you what, I think everyone waited in the locker room. I know when I was there because he'd come into the Superdome and he always had some type of outlandish outfit, but he came ready to go. And Joe always came ready to play. And he was a leader of men.
He was a good player. So, Jake, let me get a big picture shot here. When you look at a team like Carolina and you talk about some of the deficiencies or things that have yet to be resolved, maybe they become assets during the season, but right now, youth, you've got to navigate that. There's a learning curve, as you and Teak both know. The offensive line, it could be problematic until it's not. I think, for when you have those situations, plural, you look at the wild card as the ceiling until further notified. And I think this is the first time in a while, tell me if you agree, that I can say, if you can, I'd love to hear it, that the AFC is better from top to bottom than the NFC, which means a team like Carolina, who's gunning for a wild card, might have a better shot than they would have in years past because the conference has changed a lot. Is that an irresponsible statement? The AFC is better than the NFC. You down with that or no?
As much as it pains me to say that because I'm an NFC guy through and through, I think you're 100% correct. I truly believe the AFC is the better conference right now. The NFC, I think there's a couple of powerhouse football teams, in my opinion. But other than that, I think it's still fairly wide open. And to hint on the Panthers where we're going, 17-game season now. Can this team get to 9 wins, hopefully 10? I think there's an outside chance. Last year, I could not say that.
Yep.
There was no way, and I had on my Panther blue sunglasses last year trying to find the extra wins. I couldn't say that. To watch this team play under Matt Rhule last year, this team was 0-8 in game-winning drives last year. They were there to win games in Green Bay late in the season, in Kansas City, multiple games, in Minnesota, the game they had it sewed up. This team needs to learn how to win.
Without McCaffrey, they were there.
Exactly.
I know.
So a healthy McCaffrey, a confident
Crazy.
Darnold, and I'll keep saying that. It's got to be a confident Darnold. He cannot – you don't want to fall into that trap of you don't want anything in his mind or maybe the other players. I wonder if this is the New York Darnold. Or here we go again. Yeah. That's why he's got to just learn to let the offense work for him, and I think he truly will do that.
Yeah, no, I hope so as well, because I really like Christian McCaffrey, and I like Sam Darnold as well. Jake, before we let you go, David Tepper, if you're up here in New York and you walked in those financial circles, you know a little bit about him, but as an NFL owner, we don't know a ton about him. Have you got a chance to meet him, hang out with him? What's he about? What's he like?
Yes, I have. The first year I had many opportunities to. Last year, kind of obviously not, and not so much this year, but I'll see him a whole lot more once the season starts. David Tepper is one that he's a fan. He loves football. He wants to win, and he wants to do it the right way. And when you watch him, one thing I love seeing Tepper on the field, and this is my take on him. In between hits before the game starts, I'll go down on the field just to kind of take a look at the other team physically and just kind of watch. And there's a certain section for military people that the Panthers honor before the game and other little facets. Well, Tepper's down there, and he's down there not in a suit. He's in just cargo pants and just a Panther polo, taking pictures, hugging people. And, like, I remember one time early on I signed some autographs for some military folks. And they were so appreciative, and he looked at me and he goes, "You see that? By you doing this and I'm bringing them here, it just makes me feel good." It's just like he wants to kind of be a part of a winner and develop a winner, and he's given any and everything that this team has asked for, or this coaching staff, front office, whatever it may be. how can we be just a little bit better? Because his belief is that this is a 50-50 league. It's 50-50. This is where you're starting out. Or what little things can we do incrementally just to add a little bit more to make it a 9-win, 10-win, 11, whatever it may be?
Mm-hmm.
How can we just do a little bit extra? So that's where his mindset's at, and he's all in as an owner. And he's all in Carolina to try to make it right, to try to bring a winner.
It sounds like someone I'd want to hang out with and more importantly, work for. But I wonder, and I'm not saying that it's going to happen this year, but do you get a sense that he's going to be an owner that gets restless quickly in terms of, moving on from a player, moving on from a coach? There's owners like that just don't tolerate, a substandard product. Do you think he's got that quick trigger when it comes to those things?
I hope not. I don't know. And the only thing I can say is he was a minority owner for the Pittsburgh Steelers.
There you go.
And so if he was able to be along the Steelers' ride and to watch how that organization is run, how they'll think outside the box when hiring young coaches, and they don't have a quick trigger whatsoever.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what I'm hoping to see. But then again, he wrote the check for the team. I didn't.
That's true.
And he's the owner. So we'll see what happens. But I truly believe being that minority owner for the Steelers for a few years, or however long that was, you kind of maybe get that Rooney feel, or hopefully that, hey, this is a long journey. Yes, you want to make it to the Super Bowl. It doesn't happen overnight. Sustained success, it just takes a little time.
Yeah, and you look at the length of I know we got to go, but you look at the length of the contract he gave Matt Rhule, unprecedented. So at least in terms of contractual commitment out of the chute, maybe he is taking a page for the Steelers there in terms of being, conservative and not just, ripping things up for the sake of ripping them up. Jake, we got to roll. It's Jake Delhomme, part of the Panthers Hall of Fame, Pro Bowler, got to the Super Bowl as well, broadcaster. Good stuff. One of the teams we're very interested in. Thanks a lot, Jake.
Well, thanks for having me on. I appreciate it. Have a great day.
Thanks for watching. Make sure you like and subscribe, and don't forget to hit that bell to be notified when we drop fresh content.